Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Castlekeeper Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video I'm doing a preview of my newest campaign about to launch later on this month, and that is the Blacktop League campaign set in the world of Greyhawk using Castles and Crusades as its RPG gaming system. So this is going to be a preview. So I intend for my players to watch, as well as to entice up to 3 additional players who are available to play on Sunday evenings, Eastern Time, 7 p.m. to roughly 10 p.m. Sometimes we might go a little bit over. That's fine. On rare occasions, a little bit under that, depending on how the pace and where the adventure during that session kind of lands near its closing. So without further ado, let me start going over some of the work I've already done on the campaign. And like I said, this is going to be a preview for both players and subscribers to my channel to also see what's going on in the world of Greyhawk and Castles and Crusades being combined up for this latest campaign. So I'm going to begin here with my document, and so this is basically the setup of the of the campaign. Once I decided on the location and everything, I then just searched the internet to find an image that really captures what the location is actually going to be. So this is my interpretation of the large town or small city, however you want to describe it, of Blacktop. And here we go. So, introduction. The Good Hills Union of Keeland, governed by the first speaker, Blaif Renar, who is a gnome, and this is directly from the wiki of Greyhawk Wiki. Um, Demihumans have ruled these hallowed halls since before the arrival of the Sul and Iridian migrants in the Sheldamar Valley. It was during the first century following the formation of the Kingdom of Keeland that humanity and the demi-humans of these highlands were able to come together in peace, largely through the intercession of neighboring Iridian settlers. The many enclaves of these hills now elect speakers to argue their interests in Neola Dra. These various speakers, who are typically more than a dozen in number, gather together in a council at Blacktop. I've increased the population to 2,200, and there's a reason for that in the campaign. They elect one of their own to act as the first speaker in the court of the land. Currently, this office is held by Blaif Renar, a gnome from Plim Delve. The Blacktop League is an adventurers guild that was created in 565 CY, a year following the crowning of the new king of Keeland, Semend Sedena of Greyhill, an obscure ranger lord with no known ties to the throne. The Black League was enacted by the first speaker, Blaif Renar, of the Good Hills Union, and managed by Durnthal Torborn. Mapping resources, I can actually get rid of that. So the Good Hills Union, so this is a map. This comes from Ann Meyer's website. And so here's the map of the region, and here is Blacktop. So that is where the player party is going to begin. The introduction, every once in a while I'll have to reformat it when I change fonts and such. You have arrived at a large fortified town of Blacktop. Although you knew it was the capital of the Good Hills Union, you are surprised to see how small it actually is. That being said, you can see the fortifications and stonework of the structures is clearly dwarven with enhancements of gnomish design as well. This, of course, was not a surprise for you. You were made aware that the Good Hills Union was primarily a region populated by gnomes, dwarves, and halflings. Even humans are a minority within this region, and elves or others are even rarer still. However, a calling brought you here. Throughout much of the southern reaches of Keeland, rumors had spread that Blacktop's population has swelled of late, drawn by the prospect of new veins of ore being found within the region near Wyvern Tor. Long ago, Wyvern Tor, the highest peak in the mountains and surrounding hills, high hills of the Good Hills Union, was the home of literal swarms of wyverns and allegedly dragons and giants as well. There were also legends and whisperings of darker things that lay deep within the crags of the mighty Tor. It has been over a century when the last of the wyverns were wiped out or driven off. Yet the mountain and its surrounding area was shunned nonetheless. However, word of gold and silver veins being discovered at several locations have chipped away the usual caution. Individual prospectors and whole mining guilds have reportedly turned up on the doorstep of the once small town of Blacktop. The first speaker and representative of all of the Good Hills Union in the Keelandish court has expressed his nervousness of what these new arrivals might stir up, or so the rumors claim. Not more than a month ago, first speaker Blaif Renard chartered the Blacktop League as a guild loosely called an adventurers guild, and it will be tasked with keeping the peace between rival mining interests and with responding to any discoveries of nests or lairs of critters, humanoids, or worse, that are likely to be found or disturbed by the foolhardy driven mad with the lure of gold. And so you have traveled from far distances for days, if not even weeks, with the parchment flyer in hand, with the promise of both gold and adventure. More importantly, with the prospect of being admitted into a chartered guild and one bearing the pledge of support from the local magistrate. And so here we go into the scene, right? So, scene one, your arrival to Blacktop was quite uneventful. However, it was equally uncomfortable as the roads and terrain in this area are extremely rough in spots. Fortunately, the season is well suited for travel, so at least you are not comforted by the elements of weather, discomforted by the elements of weather. So I included the calendar, with its months and its names and seasons and such. This way, I think it's very important for you to launch a new campaign with a clear understanding of where, the when, the why, the how, and all of that preset. So this again is off the internet, most likely the same Greyhawk wiki or something else, possibly the Obsidian Order. I forget which one. But here we have it. Your arrival to Blacktop was on the 8th star day of readying the second month of Needfest midwinter, the first month of spring in the year of 565 CY. Having passed through the gates of Blacktop shortly after midday, the carts of the caravan you were traveling with come to a halt at some sort of a trade depot of sorts. There is an inordinate amount of bustling going on. As you can see, yours was not the only group of carts having arrived. There are dwarves and gnomes scurrying about, unloading mining gear from large, heavy framed carts, and the others seemingly arrive by foot with picks on shoulders and apparently little else. So I gotta reformat this to um, the right font size. As you step from your cart you were traveling on, you take stock of your own belongings. And so here we have starting gear, starting actually funds, starting money for the player characters. So if they were a fighter or a ranger, they can either roll 3d8 times 10 or take the set amount of 180 gold pieces. I allow my players to do either or. So if they exceeded the 180, they kept what they rolled. If they didn't, they started with the minimum of 180, and so on through all of them. They all started with a dungeon basic backpack. This comes out of the Adventurer's Backpack book. And so they all started with this, but they do have the opportunity to trade in for a more specific backpack later on. They then get directions to their guild hall, and we start going in through their introductions and such. I'm not going to read all of this out for the purposes of this video, but here is a map of the guild hall, and this will be heavily used throughout their the collection of their new adventures, and then the turning in of that subsequent adventure uh, after action results. We go through the introduction. So I have made several several NPCs for them to interact with. As you can see, here is the guild leader, followed by a cleric, followed by a wizard, a thief, a druid, and a gnome of unknown level or class as of now. I'm still working on that. And so here is the basic premise of the Adventurers Guild. And I really pulled this partly from Goblin Slayer. And, just the idea, and this is something that's very commonplace in computer role-playing games, where they will have a message board and they'll have a selection of a variety of adventures that they can go on, or bounties or whatever. And so I am going to present them with a selection of roughly 6 or so adventures that they can choose from. Now, if I follow the full model of the Adventurers Guild in Goblin Slayer, the player characters will earn tokens that are worn like a badge on their guild tabard, which they're also going to receive once they choose to join this guild, and that will denote the level of adventure that they will be presented with. However, they can choose, if they wish to, select one that is one higher than their level, and that will they wouldn't be able to go much higher than their particular tier, um, more than +1 of their tier, because then the likelihood of that kind of an adventure would likely end in failure, and the guild itself doesn't want to harm its reputation or waste its resources. Now, that doesn't mean that when they go on an adventure that they may not encounter something that is going to be far outside of their means. I'm going to switch views here. So they could actually encounter something that they really do need to realize that it's best to run away from, rather than try to fight. There is no challenge rating in Castles and Crusades, where players aren't going to potentially encounter something that is much much more powerful than they can handle. Um, so that's a general thing that I am going to think about when I'm describing a particular adventure to them. um, if the true objective, the real objective of it is far outside of their range, I'm going to give it that higher tier that they'll have explained to them. So anyway, that's the general basis of it. I didn't get into all of the interaction, the NPC interaction part of the adventure. I'm saving that for when we have our first session. So let me go to another. Um, I'm going to set up the other page here so that when I go and move to that, I'll be able to show you where this current pre-launch campaign actually stands. So here we go. So currently it's on Roll20. I'm looking to move this entire campaign over to Foundry. All right, I'm waiting for certain things to be added to Foundry from Trollord Games. They already have some of the base levels of levels 1 through 3 of 4 classes. I'm waiting for them to add more. I'm also adding for them, waiting for them to add to the more to the equipment lists and such along the line. So right now we're currently going to start most likely with Roll20, and as you can see, I have 11 players. I have room for 2 to 3 more, but only for the Sunday game. And I'll show you what I have already in there. The Sunday game has 4 players currently, possibly 3, and the Tuesday evening game is already filled with 7 players. So I'm looking to add a few more to Sunday. So that's where I have openings. There's an active looking for players here on Roll20. And so let me launch and show you what I actually have in here. And let's see how we get rid of this. Why this ad? I want this gone. Oh, there we go. All right, so here's the title page, and you should always have in your on your Roll20 a title page. This is where you're going to start off, and I like to move this up over here. So have a title page set up, and then as you can see, so I have some tokens. I got to continue modifying these. So I have a whole series of tokens that I've been creating. I prefer to use these rather than the ones that come on, that come as part of packages. I just like using the internet, in many cases, DeviantArt, to get these various creatures in, and then I just have to, you know, name them and put their basic stats in there to cover that. So that's my working thing. So here's my Sunday roster. As you can see, right now it has a thief, a wizard, an assassin, and I'm not quite sure what Worst Cat is going to be playing. But once he gets back to me, like I said, we haven't had our Sunday session 0 yet, so there's plenty of time for him to get back to me. And I'm looking to add 3 more. So once I get 3 more players in here, this group will be sorted out. Um, but it's nice to have a thief, a wizard, an assassin, and whatever else will come in. And then my Tuesday roster. So I have there's a barbarian, a cleric, a ranger, a bard, a monk, a druid, Not, I don't remember what Vince's character is going to be, so we'll see. I'll have to double check my Discord. And then they have actually created two alt characters already that they're looking to, potentially play if their primary characters get killed off pretty quickly. Castles and Crusades is a somewhat unforgiving, and let me just keep on double checking. Um, Now, we're going to go to, I'll jump to the Good Hills map. So here's the map that the players will have access to, and so they can see where they kind of are. They're going to be starting here on Blacktop, and I am included with this, and this is from the Ann Myers website as well, kind of these symbols, the map key, so that the players can really double check and see, well, what does this symbol on the map mean? Sometimes I'm going to replace them and tell them, no, well, this is actually a small, their current location is going to be a large town, and it is fortified, which is what this symbol would would mean here. So changing it as it appears on the map itself. And then um, finally, I just have the guild hall, and this is going to be their starting location, and the NPCs are already placed here and there, and so that is going to be where we actually launch off with our session one. So as you can see, quite a lot of, I've already put in quite a lot of work. I've written five of the six adventures out. Some of them are like one-page adventures. None are more than two-page adventures, so excluding maps. And so I'm trying to focus this on a uh, a play style for the players where um, it's going to be very episodic, right? So they'll come in, they'll do a game session, most likely complete the adventure during the 3 to 4 hour game session, and then they will return back, and we prepare for the next time that they meet and go on. Now, let's say a player or two can't make it during a particular episode, then the other player characters from the Sunday, let's say, they can join in if they're available. So it's going to be overall a group of about 14 players, and I'm going to look to, you know, pretty much have them stay in their either Sunday or their Tuesday, but they can mix and match. And they are going to encounter the other player characters from the other group from time to time. There could be an instance where they're all, even though it's two separate game sessions, they're all working towards the same objective. And so kind of keep track of that. But I only have two groups and 14 players to keep track of. And the system of Castles and Crusades, it makes that process a lot easier than AD&D First Edition in comparison, and tremendously easier than D&D 5e or other editions. It might be simpler with earlier editions of Dungeons and Dragons, so OD&D or BECME might be a lot simpler as far as that's concerned, but Castles and Crusades, I think, really does fit the game style that I'm looking to promote, and the campaign that I'm looking to run. And so I think it's going to be a tremendous success. It's going to be a lot of fun for the players. It's going to be a lot of fun for me. And like I said, I'm looking for up to three more players that are available for Sunday evening, 7 to 10 ish. possibly 7:30 to 10:30. There'll be some flexibility in there, and that's Eastern time. So if you're interested in jumping in, just leave a comment on this video, and or jump onto my Discord. There's a link for my Discord in the description, and so or you could just reach out to me and say, hey, send me a link to the Discord, and I could set that up for you as well, and you're welcome to join in. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you hadn't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Certainly, if you want to join this campaign, subscribe, send a chat out to me, and we will hook up on through email, and I'll get you all set up to join the Discord and the Roll20 invite and all of that, if you are interested in actually jumping in on this campaign before it launches. I'm looking to launch session 0 for the Sunday night game on the 27th of August, and then the session 0, the final session 0 for the Tuesday night game on the 29th of August. So about 1 month out. So just 1 month away, and then these campaigns are going to launch, both separate groups. So thanks for joining. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen or a gaming table sometime very soon. Take care.